we're going to go through the best way to get money and experience in Cyberpunk. I don't quite know how I'm going to title this yet. That is what you're going to get when you follow along with what it is that we're going to do in this video. The first thing to say is to make your way back to your apartment. If we go ahead and we sleep, we'll actually gain an experience buff. This is obviously going to speed you up when it comes to actually leveling up your character. After sleeping and leaving, you'll see that I now have a counter up at the top of the screen. We have 1 hour of increased XP that we can go ahead and use. From here then, what I actually recommend that you do is bring up your map and look for any side missions that you have. Note that I already have an NCPD one here, and it's the blue missions that realistically I think you should be farming, especially if you're early in the game. The reason for this is because you're not actually going to unlock or be able to use the best loot in the game unless you level up your street cred. And so if you're just going to go around and try farming enemies, your street cred is actually going to rise very, very slowly when you could be doing these blue missions, which will level up your street cred much quicker. If you need help with this, what you should do is come across your filters here, press in the custom one, and then you can actually select, as you can see on my screen, the NCPD scanner. Something I personally didn't realize is that a lot of these actually respawn, which means even if you've cleared out a zone, after a while you can just come in here and press this and have them all come back up on your map, and you can just ping between all of the ones that happen to be close to you in between other missions. This is going to allow you to level up much faster and means you're not going to have to do something boring like rerunning the same route all of the time, and in my opinion is much more enjoyable. If that's enough to help you when you're going to leave, please leave with a hammer emoji, because we are still going to do a route that I think some people might want, just in case somebody wants that to be in the video. So if you leave me the hammer emoji, that'll mean that I don't get destroyed for not having good engagement and good retention time on the video. As far as I can tell, and I've tried quite a lot of spots, the best spot to actually go for XP farming, and when I say XP farming at this stage, we're actually talking about skill XP so that we can max out the progression rewards. In particular for me, I want to get them all to level 35 so that we can get the extra perk points. So if that is something that you're doing, obviously just make sure that you're aware of what weapon type it is that you need to use when it comes to farming enemies to gain skill progression. With that said then, if you are not going to be using Dogtown because it's DLC, we are going to use the Pacifica beach area. Once we arrive at the pier then, we want to jump over the rail and then head on down the stairs. Once we're down here, what we're going to find is we can turn to the left and there's a party going on. This is one of the ones where we need to be a little bit careful, just because this can actually mess up the spawn if we don't pay attention to what we're doing. So I'm going to use some quick hacks here, and we're going to try and avoid hitting any of the civilians. Now, it's not the end of the world if you do, but if you start aggroing the police, it can really mess up the spawns. Because once the police start arresting some of the NPCs or anything else like this, they remain persistent and it can mess up the farm runs. Just be a little bit careful of that. We will go through how to fix that at the end of the video, though. With them defeated and looted then, because the loot is obviously going to be the main way that we gain the money, we're going to look out towards the sea and head towards the shack. Once we reach the shack, we want to be taking care of the 3 that are up there. Maybe do something like detonate a grenade, because that should make it nice and quick. With those looted and dealt with, we'll go ahead and make our way across to where the bar is. Standard fare here as well. Just make sure you take care of the enemies nice and quickly, and be sure to loot them once you are finished over here. Now, for whatever reason, the bar isn't as reliable of a spawn. Sometimes it will respawn, sometimes it won't. But once you're finished with these dudes over this way, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go past the court area. So continuing on down the beach, should be nice and easy to just follow the path down here until we come to some buildings. This is where we're going to have another large party, and is one of the main encounters that we're looking for, because there's a lot of enemies here. So much like last time, we need to be a bit careful about some civilians. So what I suggest doing is starting the encounter with those. So maybe fire off a contagion over there. That'll start getting the encounter started, and then we can start bringing in the rest of the enemies so that we can take care of everything. With these enemies defeated then, we go ahead, get everything looted as before. And then we can continue making our way down the beach. We will have another group of 3, so we'll take care of those nice and quickly. And then we continue down the beach until we reach the stairs that are near the Grand Imperial Mall. Once here, we can head up the stairs, where we should find our next grouping of enemies. Again, much like the last one, sometimes this one can spawn or not spawn. But once we've dealt with these ones, make sure you've gotten all of the loot that you need. We then head up the steps at the back. So we're now heading away from the sea and away from the beach. We're going to be crossing a couple of pools, heading up some more steps nice and quickly, using our jumps to our advantage, and then up to the top, where we're going to get another large party. Once we've dealt with these enemies, make sure we get those looted as well. And then we want to turn to the right, or if you're looking down at the beach, it's going to be to your left, and down the side of the building and along the railing. Just below us on a sofa, we're going to have another group of 3, so we're going to deal with these. quick bit of loot out of that. And then we're going to jump over the rail, and then we need to cross the road. Once we're down here, we're going to look to the left, where we'll have like a fortress of enemies. Go ahead and give them a ping. There's going to be a load of enemies inside. We don't have to worry about civilians in this one though, so throw some grenades in if you like. Deal with those and get them looted. Shouldn't be too difficult for you. Once that's done, then we're going to continue in the same direction where we have our fast travel point. Just in case you're wondering where to sell stuff, very close to us, just around the corner if we're heading up the hill, we are able to get to one of the drop boxes. So you can go in there, sell a few items if you have some stuff that you don't want or if you're getting a bit heavy. And then when it comes to resetting the farm, there are two choices, but one is going to be better than the other. So we're going to make our way back to the fast travel point. If we fast travel straight back to the Pacific Pier, the smaller groups of enemies will respawn and the main group of enemies will respawn. However, the ones that we faced that were up by the pool, the ones that were on the kind of end, won't respawn. So what we actually want to do for a full respawn is return back to the apartment where we can rest again for 24 hours. So make sure you loop this all the way around, which allows us to return to repeat the run. If something has happened to too many of your spawns, you need to reset everything. The best thing that I found was to, if there's any survivors from the spawn, like I had an issue where there were just like dudes here dancing still without the enemies and it was causing the spawn not to reset. You're gonna need to take down all of the NPCs and stuff, so clear it all out. Make sure you kill any of the police officers or anything like this. Once that's done, you kind of want to go on like a bit of a drive so that the game can start generating new NPCs and stuff, so it kind of like takes these ones out of the world properly and fully, generates new NPCs, and then when you come back, you'll find that the encounters have reset properly for you.